all you ghoulish gourmets, and apologies in advance if you hear Sammy. I thought if I changed the song, the music for the intro to movie Munchies, he wouldn't howl, but evidently it doesn't matter what song I use, he's not going to like it. So, welcome to the return of movie Munchies. Um, this has been, I mean, literally, this has been the most requested segment that I bring back to my channel. Several people have come to me behind the scenes and said, "Hey, when are you going to do another movie Munchies?" And frankly, I hadn't thought about it in a while because things got so hectic as far as life and everything else. But when people kept asking me about it, I was like, well, people must resonate with people. People like cooking shows. People like, evidently, there's a lot of foodies out there that like watching people make things. So, um, for now, I am planning on doing one movie Munchies a month. Now, we're going to have two this month because I got to be in my bonnet with the untimely passing of David Lynch. I decided that, I'm going to do a second movie Munchies. Um, and this one is going to be for a damn fine cup of coffee and a piece of cherry pie. And those of you that were fans of Twin Peaks, you will know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. So look for that to be upcoming this next Sunday at some point. These things are pre-recorded now, so that I don't, some people might have liked that live interaction and all of that with me interacting with the chat and all that. Um, However, it just really got too hectic for me to be able to do those at a set time every Sunday. And, so time gets away from me. It's after 5 right now when I'm recording this. It's almost 6 o'clock in the evening. You guys and gals will shortly be hearing my reminder go off. So please try to ignore that. Apologies on that. Hopefully the sound and everything is good to go. I did a test and it seemed to, not be staticky. The video and everything looked good. The sound looked good. So hopefully, when I put this out, it's going to be all good. Okay. Um. So, um, if you weren't in the know and you weren't looking at my little headline below my name there, we are going to be making, or I'm going to be making, and you guys are going to be watching. Hopefully, you'll want to make this after you see me make it. Grandma's Killer Mac and Cheese, a recipe taken from the Castle Rock Kitchen by Theresa Carle-Sanders. These are wicked good recipes from the world of Stephen King. This is a very good book I picked up from Amazon a while back. Um, Theresa Carl-Sanders is also the author of the Outlander Kitchen. I have not seen that book, so I have no idea. I was intrigued to get this one because it had recipes based on Stephen King stories. So I'm calling this Grandma's Killer Mac and Cheese. They simply call it Killer Mac and Cheese. It makes 6 servings. That's about all I know as far as, nutritional value. I don't know anything about the fat content or calories or anything. You guys and gals would have to look that up for yourself. Okay. Um, Also, I'm going to show you what we need to make this recipe today. So, um, one thing I that struck me as unusual because normally when I make mac and cheese, or macaroni and tomato or whatever, I usually cook my pasta first and then I mix everything else that you need, whether it's cheese or it's tomatoes or tomato sauce or whatever to mix in there. You do that later. Okay. But you're going to take uncooked pasta with this and you're going to stir it into a creamy cheese sauce with chicken stock. I've never made mac and cheese with chicken stock. I've never made it with onion. I've never made it with mustard powder or cayenne pepper or any of that stuff. So I'm really, really looking forward to making this and really looking forward to trying this out um, as far as taste wise. So, so let's take a look at what we need for this. So, first of all, we need 3/4 of a cup panko style breadcrumbs. And I don't have everything measured out right now, um, but you can get any kind of breadcrumbs that you want. They recommend panko style. So these are Kiko Man, panko Japanese style breadcrumbs. If you prefer like Italian breadcrumbs and can get them in the panko, I'm not sure. Panko might be a Japanese style. That may be the type. Okay, so you just need to make sure you have some panko style breadcrumbs, and we're just going to have 3/4 of a cup of that. And we're going to need a half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. Now, you can have fresh Parmesan cheese if you like, and you want to freshly grate it. But I'm being a little lazy here, so I have Kroger Parmesan cheese. It's already grated for me, and it's in this little container. All I got to do is measure it out. Okay. And we also need a tablespoon of olive oil, which, again, folks, I know olive oil is expensive, especially nowadays. I've got right now, I've got Bertolli extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is what I like to use. Yeah, it is a little more expensive than other types of olive oil. But you get your favorite brand. If you don't want to use extra virgin, you don't have to, because this recipe just simply says a tablespoon of olive oil. Okay. That just happened to be what I had in the house. Um, so we need 1/4 of a cup of butter. I've got my stick of butter out here. I'm going to have to measure out 1/4 of a cup, which 4 tablespoons. So half of this stick of butter is going to come to 1/4 of a cup of butter. Okay. We need one medium yellow onion julienne. I've never julienne my onions, but I looked up how to do this, and guys and gals, this might not be like exactly perfect. Some of you that are gourmet chefs in your kitchen may say that's not julienne. And also, I think the person that got my groceries and delivered them, my shopper, did not get me a medium yellow onion. I think I got, just your standard white onion. So,
Dana, here is a reminder. Feed Toby.
sorry about that. I'm going to bring up the haunted food cam,
Dana, here is
which
a reminder.
I'm
Feed
going to
Toby.
push that out of the way. You can see my attempt at julienning these onions. Okay, so forgive me if they aren't exactly perfect. So um, I'm gonna put myself back on the solo layout, but I just wanted to show you those onions there. We need 1/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour. I've got my all-purpose flour canister out, and I'm ready to measure that out. Use whatever kind of all-purpose flour that you want. I'm using the Kroger brand. 2 cups of chicken stock. Now there is a recipe for chicken stock in this book on page 233. However, again, I'm lazy and strapped for time. Um, so I just got from Kroger some Simple Truth organic free range chicken stock. I believe there's 4 cups in here. So we're going to use half of this. Okay. If y'all are feeling adventurous and you get this cookbook and you want to make your own chicken stock, have at it. I admire you for doing that. 2 cups of milk. I haven't taken the milk out of the refrigerator. But I've just got, 2% milk from Kroger. I'm going to be measuring out here shortly. Okay. We need, they say 3 cups shredded aged cheddar cheese. Well, sometimes it's hard to find aged cheese of any kind. So I just got medium cheddar, cut straight from the block. This is Kroger brand. So you get whatever you would like. And if you don't want to use cheddar, maybe cheddar ain't your favorite kind of cheese. Maybe you want to get some other kind of cheese. You are welcome to do that. A cup of whipping cream, which I have. Again, this is Kroger brand heavy whipping cream. So you can get whatever kind of whipping cream that you would like. Um, we need 1.5 teaspoons of salt. They say kosher salt. If you got kosher salt, you can use it. I'm just going to use my Morton iodized sea salt, but you use whatever salt that you prefer. Okay. We're also going to need a teaspoon of mustard powder. Again, this just came off my spice rack. I had a ground mustard powder for some other recipe. I'm sure this is Kroger brand just because it's cheaper. Okay. We also need a fourth of a teaspoon of ground white pepper. And I have, this is from the McCormick's Gourmet Collection. This was a little more expensive. That was the only kind I could find at the time for white pepper that I needed for something else. So this is ground white pepper. And people may wonder why you want to use white pepper. I used to. I was like, why not just put black pepper in everything? You know. Well, the thing is, when you're making light colored dishes, like this macaroni and cheese, some people like to keep everything that light color. They don't want to put a bunch of black in there. So, hence using the white pepper. We want a pinch of cayenne pepper. And I would heed that pinch unless you're really a glutton for punishment. So here is my Kroger ground cayenne red pepper. And of course, we need 3 cups of dried macaroni, which, again, because I'm a cheapskate at times, and this does serve its purpose, this is Kroger elbow macaroni. I got a big 2-pound box because I might want to make some more macaroni later. So that's everything that we need to make this killer mac and cheese. I have already preheated my oven, so you want to first start off with preheating your oven. Sorry, folks. Still got the cough from time to time from my bout with COVID. Um, I'm sorry, I keep messing with my hair. I really should get a hairnet when I'm doing these things because my hair just gets all out of whack. You need to position your oven rack on the middle rung and preheat it to 350 degrees. I already have my oven preheated and ready to go. So, in our small bowl here, which uh, I'm going to bring this up and make this the solo layout. So hopefully you can still hear me talking. I'm talking about this now. Um, the Haunted Food Cam logo is now up there because Camo Cam that I use for my extra camera has instituted this new thing where you can put your little logo there, and I'm so happy that they did that. Because now my Haunted Food Cam has its own little logo there. It has its own little overlay, and that's exactly what I wanted in the beginning when I first started doing these movie munchies. So, um, so in our small bowl here, we're going to put our 3/4 cup of panko style breadcrumbs. So I'm going to go ahead and measure those out. 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 And I hurt my fingers trying to open this box of panko breadcrumbs. Okay, no harm in there. So I'm going to injure myself, I guess, from time to time. Thankfully, I didn't do anything bad. It's just something went into my fingernail, the side of my fingernail, the cardboard from that box. All right. So we're going to measure out our 3/4 cup if I can get this bag open. There we go. We're going to measure out 3/4 cup. I'm going to move that knife there where I was julienning. Again, I don't know if that's a word. Julienning my onions earlier. So let's measure out 3/4 cup here of our breadcrumbs. Even that out there. And remember, folks, clean hands, you know, when you're dealing with food products, especially. Put this back over here. So we're going to put our breadcrumbs there in our bowl. And we're going to toss them to get the breadcrumbs together with our Parmesan and our olive oil. Okay. So we're going to put our 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. So I'm just going to take that top off. And let's go ahead and see if we can get a 1/2 cup out of here. Sometimes, too, your Parmesan cheese, when it's in these containers, that's why I say have a clean hands, because you might have to break apart some of it there. Okay? Breaking apart some more of this. Put a smidge more in there. That big part came out there, didn't it? Okay. So let's put that in there. And as I always say, my mom, if there's one thing my mom taught me is, well, she taught me many things. One of the things she taught me is to save time. You should put things away as you're using them when you're cooking. It'll make cleanup a lot easier later. Okay. So now we need to toss this once we put in the tablespoon of the tablespoon of olive oil. So let's go ahead, and I forgot to have my measuring spoons out, so let's get those out. Let's measure out and I just want to say this while we're doing this. This is why I say have clean hands. This is just easier for me to do. But and I don't want this to come off sounding snotty or anything or like me begging for money, but several people have, and several is what I mean. Several people have mentioned to me, including my own family members, and I'm not asking anybody to give me any money. I'm not ask, I'm not begging for money. Um, but here's the situation, folks. Several people have come to me and said that they would like it if I had another camera that was over at my stove. Okay. Um, but folks, here's the reality of that situation is that, you know, the extra camera I'm using over here where I'm mixing the breadcrumbs and the cheese and olive oil is my phone. I'm using my Samsung phone as an extra camera. It's attached to an arm. And, at the time I thought that would be good enough. However, with the advent of people telling me that, I'm going to set this to the side, um, the advent of people telling me that, hold on just 1 second, folks. And will bring myself back temporarily. With multiple people telling me, "Hey, it'd be cool, Dana. It'd be nice if you had another camera over at your stove, so when you're doing things at the stove, we can also see what you're doing." Yes, that would be awesome, and that would be optimum for me. However, this gal doesn't have a camera crew for one. I know, um, Casey, the homicidal homemaker. I know, she has a camera crew, like with actual cameras filming her from different angles. But I'm a one woman show. I don't have the money to hire a camera crew. And so for me to be able to have another camera over here, I would one have to get an extra phone that had a good enough camera on it and some way to mount it, or to get some kind of wireless camera set up over there. Neither of which is cheap. I'll be totally honest. Um, so I'm all game for that scenario. However, I'm going to need a little extra more of this to be able to do it. Again, not me begging for money, but there are ways you can support the channel. And one of those is by, giving super chats during lives, joining the channel and giving a little bit, So just throwing that out there. Don't want to put any pressure on anybody. Don't want to make anybody feel bad. It's just I'm all game for doing stuff like that. I just am not in a financial situation where I can have a more elaborate setup than what I've got now. So moving on from that. So once we've got that all done, um, we're going to go to our Dutch oven, which I will show you guys my Dutch oven. Again, I'm going to have to go over to the stove for this part, So just permit me to, and I'm going to show y'all what I'm putting in here, okay? So, and no, my Dutch oven, it's not dirty. It's just a little stained from over time of using it and the different things I've cooked in it. Okay. So in a Dutch oven over medium heat, we're going to melt the butter and then we're going to add our onion and fry, stirring occasionally until your onion is soft and translucent, about 5 to 7 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that I'm going to put I'm going to put 4 tablespoons of my butter into my Dutch oven. And I'm going to do exactly what I said I was going to do, which is I'm going to melt the butter. Then I'm going to put my julienne onions in there. And I'm going to fry them over medium heat, stirring occasionally for 5 to 7 minutes. I'm not going to make you guys and gals stay with me while I do that, which is why I'm going to pause this recording, and I will be back in about 7 minutes. Hey, all you ghoulish gourmets, and this is going to be a new, hopefully ongoing segment. Go along with the pre-recorded movie Munchies. It's going to be called Behind the Recipe, in case you didn't notice that on the screen. And this is, and I'm sorry if I seem a little distracted. I am doing this from the living room because I wanted a kind of more relaxed atmosphere to do this. But this is going to be the first behind the recipe for Grandma's Killer Mac and Cheese that I'm going to shortly be doing. And I'm sorry for the light reflecting off my glass. Hope that's not too much of a distraction. For the Grandma's Killer Mac and Cheese. This is going to take you a little bit kind of like behind the scenes or behind the recipe, as this is called. And you can thank Candace for the suggestion for me doing this. She brought this up to me last night, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. And since I'm now going to be doing these movie munchies pre-recorded, I can just add this in to the video when it is completed. So I hope you guys and gals enjoy this. Um, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the recipe, where the recipe came from, what, in this case, it's based on a Stephen King story. But let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about it. Okay. So this is taken, it's actually called just Killer Mac and Cheese. But like I said, it is based on the short story Gramma that Stephen King wrote many, many moons ago. And the recipe that I am going to be making is from the Castle Rock Kitchen Cookbook by Theresa Carle-Sanders. And the great thing about this little cookbook, or this big cookbook, is you can see there, this is the recipe I'm going to be making, Killer Mac and Cheese. And it gives a little snippet, at the top, right before the recipe starts. Sorry for my little alert going off. And it gives a little snippet from the short story Grandma, where George or Georgie in the story, the young boy, is making him some mac and cheese. So it tells about him turning on the stove and doing all the things that he needs to do to boil the macaroni and hence make his mac and cheese. So this is a very, very good book. I'm really looking forward to diving more into wicked good recipes from the world of Stephen King, as it says right there. Now, this is not mac and cheese like I've ever made it before, because I've never made mac and cheese with breadcrumbs. Um, I've never made mac and cheese that had an onion in it. Some of you may have. Nor have I made mac and cheese with chicken stock, um, or mustard powder, or cayenne pepper, or any of that stuff. That traditionally that is not the way that I have made macaroni or mac and cheese in the past, and I'm really really excited about doing this, and really excited about how it's going to taste. And you know, Grandma, the short story, was one of my favorites growing up and reading Stephen King first time around, and it has remained a favorite short story of mine that he has written. Um, and it was also turned into a Twilight Zone from the '80s episode. For those of you that watched that incarnation of Twilight Zone, so you know, over the years, I read the story, I seen the Twilight Zone episode, just uh fantastic little story, um and very, very creepy, about a young boy who is scared of his grandma, who is living with him and his mother and his brother. And Georgie has to be left alone with her one day because his brother breaks his ankle playing baseball, I believe. And the mother has to leave Georgie alone to go be with her other son. And so Georgie has always been scared of his grandma, and there have been whisperings of the family that she's a witch and all of that. So I'm just going to leave the rest of that up to you guys and gals. If you have not read the short story and or not saw the Twilight Zone from the '80s episode simply called Grandma, I would urge you to do that. And now let's get back to some killer mac and cheese. See you guys really soon. Okay, so we're back, and sorry for that beeping. Now we are going to add a fourth of a cup of all purpose flour, and we're going to stir constantly. Still got this on medium heat for 1 minute. We put that with our onion and our butter. Okay. So we're just I'm gonna stay on here while I'm doing this because uh, it's just gonna be for a minute. I mean, it's gonna go by pretty fast. Yeah, keep stirring that for the entire minute. And frankly, these onions are smelling really good cooking. Some people don't like the smell of onions cooking, but I think in that butter and everything, they're smelling really good. About 3 more seconds. All right. So I'm gonna take that off the heat and let my burner cool down a little bit. And I'm gonna move this back over here. I was just kind of moving it over so y'all could see me standing at the stove. Okay, so we've got all of that completed. So now to I'm going to be putting this back on the heat source here in just a minute. I just didn't want it. Sometimes my big burner gets hot and it stays hot for a while. If you have a brand new stove or oven and stove, then you might not have that problem. So we're gonna whisk in our chicken stock and our milk um, into our onions and our flour mixture. Okay, so we need um, we need our two. I believe it was 2 cups of chicken stock. So again, I am using Simple Truth Organic free range chicken stock. I'm going to give it a little shake because that helps distribute um, our chicken stock. Sometimes these tops are hard to twist off here. All right, so let me add the haunted food cam. I'm not sure. There we go. And we're just going to pour that nice chicken stock into our measuring cup here. There we go. And I'm going to put the rest of it in the refrigerator. And then we also, and I need some milk here. Set that right there. I'm going to go over here. I know I don't really have it on me right now, but I rest assured I'm pouring that into our Dutch oven with the onions and the flour. Now we also need 2 cups of milk. So I'm going to pour 2 cups of milk into our measuring cup here. I'm going to put the rest of this milk back in the refrigerator, and then we're going to pour this in there with the other stuff. Okay. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to turn our heat on our burner to medium high. We're going to bring it to a low boil, stirring it occasionally until the sauce is thick enough to coat the back of a spoon. So, again, I am not going to be with you, make you wait as I do this. So, we are going to put this back on the burner. I'm going to set it for medium high heat, somewhere in the middle there between medium and high. Okay. And I am going to take a break as I'm doing this from recording. And I'll be back in a few minutes. It'll seem like less than that to you guys with editing. Okay, gang. I am back once again. We have made our sauce thick. Now we're ready to add our cheese. Now, I made a slight modification. Remember when I said you could use any type of cheese that you wanted? And that is true. If you're not a fan of cheddar, there's a lot of other different kinds of cheeses that you can use. Let's bring the heat down a little bit so that'll quit boiling. I don't want it to stick while I'm talking to you guys. Sorry, my voice is starting to go. So I have 2 cups of cheddar cheese, but remember, I said I needed 3 cups of cheese. So this is not only because I'm feeling adventurous today, but it's out of necessity because I forgot to get enough cheddar cheese for this recipe. So we had some shredded Monterey Jack and cheddar cheese. So we're just going to dump all this in there. So I am going to step over. It says to put it in there a couple of handfuls at a time. Okay. So I'm mixing it as I'm slowly putting it in there just to get it, incorporated in there. I'm going to turn this slightly so y'all can see me a little bit. Um, Not that you really need to, but so we'll get that cheddar in first, and then I'll put that blend in here, okay? And remember, I said you could put, whatever kind of cheese is your favorite kind of cheese in this. That's what's so great about these recipes is that you can modify to fit whatever you want. Now, you're like my husband, you're not a fan of macaroni and cheese, period. So you're probably going to be out of luck if you've got somebody in your family that's like that, as far as getting them to eat. Right. All right. So we've got that mixed in there. I'm going to bring the heat up a little bit on this because I don't want it to completely quit heating. So we're going to stir in our whipping cream. So we need a cup of our whipping cream. So I'm going to get that. And so we've got our whipping cream in here. I'm just going to stir that in here. Try to get as much of that whipping cream out as I can out of that measuring cup. And, when you're mixing the cheese in, make sure it gets really nice and smooth. Okay? You're going to have some lumps in there because of your onions. Remember those julienne onions that we put in there earlier. Right? So we put our whipping cream in there. I'm going to set the remainder of this whipping cream back in the refrigerator. And we're going to put our salt, our mustard powder, our white pepper, and our cayenne. Okay? So let's go ahead and get our 1.5 teaspoons of salt in here. Hopefully, I won't spill this all up. Oops, and I did. You guys didn't see that, but I certainly did. There's always an amount of cleanup that I have to do because I am so messy. Okay, so there was 1 teaspoon. Here's our half. Mix that in there. In there real good. And we need a teaspoon of our mustard powder. Right? Well, actually, I think I'm going to have to hold this over. But just trust that I put a teaspoon in here. Sometimes my spices don't, and seasonings and all that business don't want to come out when they're supposed to. Get that mustard powder mixed in there. Real good. And again, I'm putting things away as I go, or trying to. So we need 1/4 of a teaspoon of our ground white pepper. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And even though this is ground white pepper, you do see a few black flakes in there. Okay. I'm going to mix that up in there. Okay. And remember, we need just a pinch, folks, of this cayenne pepper, okay? So what I like to do when it's a pinch, I just like to put a little bit in my hand, not that much. And I will literally just take a pinch and just throw it in there. Some people that bothers them whenever a recipe says, what is a pinch? They say a pinch. Or, when your grandmama told you how to make something, or maybe even your mom, because they're old school that way, right? They just say, yeah, just a pinch here, dab there, all that stuff. And some people I know that drives them crazy. And don't get that cayenne pepper in your eyes, folks, either. Don't rub your eyes after you have that in your hand. Okay. Hopefully you guys and gals aren't as messy in the kitchen as I am. All right. So we got all of that in there. We got that all stirred in there real good. Now we're going to add our macaroni. And how many cups of macaroni do we need? Somehow I got something on my cookbook. See, cookbooks see, though, that's a good sign, folks. Cookbooks that get a little messy, they get dabs here of food and stuff on them. That means you're using them, right? Hopefully. So we need 3 cups of macaroni. I'm going to measure out 2 cups in my big measuring cup here. First of all, remember this is uncooked, right? I'm going to pour those 2 cups in there. And I'm going to put 1 more cup in there because we needed 3. I'm going to stir that in there real good. Get that sauce covering it. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do with this, and I'm going to go, I'm going to pause this recording here again. So once we've added the macaroni, we're going to cook it, stirring frequently until your pasta starts to swell and it no longer sticks to the bottom of your pot. That's about 2 to 3 minutes, okay? So I will be back in a few. Okay, gang. I don't know if it resumed when I started talking or not. So, well, our pasta is beginning to swell. It's not sticking to the bottom of the pot. And I'm going to do y'all a solid and I'm going to show y'all what this looks like before we put it in the oven, okay? So, hold on just 1 second here. And I'm going to make the haunted food cam. I'm going to have to get some hot runners because these Dutch ovens get really, really hot, and I don't want to burn myself. But I do want to show you guys and gals. And my runner is getting messed up here. I almost tripped on it. I'm kind of mixing around to show you what it should look like at this point. Okay. Trying to get all that macaroni goodness off of the spoon there. But that is, at this point, this is what it should look like. Now, and I think I made a good choice with the cheese. I wouldn't recommend you lick spoons and stuff like that in mixed company. But um, so we are going to take this back over, and you're going to leave it uncovered when you put it in the oven, folks. Okay. So remember when I said, we were going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. Okay. So now I'm going to put it in the oven for 30 minutes. Okay. And never fear, we're going to get to the breadcrumbs and the Parmesan cheese and the olive oil. But for right now, we're going to put it in our oven uncovered for 30 minutes. And again, I'm going to go away for 30 minutes so you guys and gals don't have to cancel that. And I'll set the timer 30 minutes. And I'll be back in about 30 minutes. So y'all tune back in. You won't have to tune back in because this will be nice and edited, but I will be back in a few. Okay, gang. I have just took it out of the oven. Now we're going to be putting it back in the oven for about 15 more minutes, but we've got to do something first. So let me transfer our pot. Let's make this the solo layout so that you guys can see how it looks after its first foray into the oven. Now, remember our breadcrumbs and our Parmesan and our olive oil? Well, we're going to be topping this macaroni and cheese with that. Okay, so just kind of try to sprinkle it as evenly as you can. Get it in here. Okay. I don't want to use it all because we got 3 cups of mac and cheese in there. Or 3 cups of macaroni in there. Okay. Remember again, clean hands. That looks like, and you may have some that I'm going to take that out there that kind of stuck on the side. I mean, that happens from time to time. Put the rest of that in there. Now we are going to take this back and let's do this. Let's make me the solo layout again. We're going to put it back in the oven at 350 for 15 minutes more. And I'm going to go away for a little while, but I'm going to set this in there. And we're going to set our timer for 15 minutes. And I'll be back in a few. Okay, gang. I am back. And we're going to show you what this looks like after coming out of the oven the second time. And I know it's a little brown around the edges. I'm going to make that the solo layout. But you can see where the Parmesan and the breadcrumbs and all that stuff has gotten a little brown. Just don't pay any attention to that's going to be a mess probably to clean up, but just keep that in mind that you may have a mess on the edges of your um, Dutch oven. Okay. So what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to, well, they suggest that you let this rest for 10 minutes before you eat it. Okay. And this is going to be my dinner slash snack for the night. So I'm going to come back in about 10 minutes and we're going to try this out. I'm going to, scoop me out some and take a few tastes of it on camera. So um, let's I'll get back to me for just a second. And you can also look at the fruits of my labor here. And I'll be back in a few. All right, gang. I am back for the final time. This, it is easier to do it this way, but I have to wait for stuff to cook, and then this one had several steps to it. So anyway, I am going to temporarily make my pot here, the solo layout. We have let this rest for 10 minutes, and I've got my bowl here and the spoon. I'm just going to try to lift some of this out, and it looks really good. I'm eager to be trying this out. Now, their aged cheddar must have been like really white and not oranges. And so their macaroni in the picture from the book was a lot whiter than this, but that doesn't matter. Okay. So let's exit the solo layout on that and make me the solo layout because, folks, show you that, or try to show you that there. I should have done it the other way. I should have showed you on the other camera, but there's a little gander at it. So let's taste this out here. And it is good. This is more along the lines of a baked macaroni and cheese. And as you can see, gotta swallow that first. I'm not falling over. I'm not spasming, and this is really, really good. This I could see myself definitely making this again in the future. So yes, this gets Evil Dead Chicks seal of approval. This was my first recipe that I cooked from the Castle Rock kitchen, and thumbs up for me. I'm out of here for now. Off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. and fix you some of this killer mac and cheese because it's good. And I'll see everybody next time.